Back to our Mutant Spotlight series, videos that highlight an underrated mutant or X-Men character. The mutant we're talking about today is Match aka Ben Hamill, a firebending student at the Xavier Institute for Mutants, and is a more new character in comparison to other X-Men characters, making his first appearance in New Mutants issue 7 from 2003, which is 2 years before I was even born, so saying he's a new character is a bit strange, but a more recent addition compared to most New Mutants characters. However, that doesn't mean he wouldn't have fans, since if you're in an X book, you'll somehow become a fan favorite to somebody. That's not even a joke. I feel like every single X-Men character to ever exist has at least somebody saying that they're their very favorite. Mine's Nightcrawler, if you were wondering. You probably weren't. Ben Hamill will be enrolled at the Xavier Institute, where he'd be assigned to learn from Wolfsbane, a part of the training squad system. Wolfsbane being an iconic member of the New Mutants team, and was once referred to as his lesbian werewolf Wolverine by a commenter of this channel. Hello if you're watching. Ben's powers would match his personality, being hot-tempered, being soon named Match, and would prove to be a very effective team leader, becoming the leader of the Paragons, the small team of mutants who are learning from Wolfsbane. Match would be for the most part more of a background character, while his fellow Paragon Pixie would become the more popular member of the team. Something to note that isn't stated is that Match never goes into a non-fire form, seemingly implying he just can't turn it off. He's just on fire, all the time. The idea he's just always on fire I think could make him a good student for maybe Rogue to learn from. Both are unable to touch people without hurting them. You could actually do something quite compelling with that. Also, does it hurt that he's just always on fire? Or does he not even notice anymore? Match would appear throughout the New Mutants series. He seems to also have maybe been an attempt to making a male version of New Mutants character Magma, as there was another character who's going to be a spin-off of Wolfsbane during this time too. So he might have been an attempt at trying to make a male counterpart to Magma or a male sidekick to her, although it's not very clear. When the series relaunched into New X-Men Academy X in 2004, Match would still appear, along with issue 5 giving us some new information about the character. His powers apparently manifested when he was a teenager at a park, where his flames destroyed the entire park. Although it does seem like there are no casualties, as if there were, I would assume it would probably be mentioned somewhere. It is also shown he seems to be friends with fellow mutant Rockslide, often appearing together in small cameos or moments, including Rockslide using Match's head to roast marshmallows, which by the way happens more than once. Post-M Day, Match would be one of the few students to remain a mutant, keeping his powers while he had to say goodbye to many of his friends who had to leave the school and no longer qualified to go to the Xavier Institute. During this time, he was shown to be close-ish with fellow Paragon Pixie, both still mutants while most of their friends had to pack their bags and leave. Match would be one of the mutants who would be trapped in Limbo during the quest for Magic Arc, where being a fire being himself would be a very useful assist against the demons of Limbo, being used as a plot device in the story, as he's not really a character here. He doesn't really do all that much as he's not the main focus of really any story. However, his powers do prove to be useful. Match would continue as he was, an accent in X-Men comics. He was a little more than a background character, a recurring support in a team mutant you might recognize whenever he appeared in a panel. However, off design alone, some would end up actually liking the character, as many artists seem to really enjoy drawing Match's powerful flame design. During the 2009 Utopia event, the Dark X-Men would attempt to make a straight mutant vision that would result in outcry mutant hate, with most mutants of moral values being stuck in the middle of the conflict. Match would be part of the protests against the Dark X-Men's attempt imposing a curfew for San Francisco, where Match would set flames to Union Square along with other mutants such as Sunspot, Lorelei, and even Avalanche, leading to their eventual arrest, but would be freed after the event off-panel. Match would go on to appear in multiple more X comics through the years, but nothing really to note. I just realized I called them X comics, which I shouldn't because that could mean something else, which is not what I'm referring to. His powers are always really cool either in a fight or just in the background, but as a character, all there really is he apparently has anger issues, which is a joke on his fiery exterior. By the Krakoa era, Match is shown to be a citizen of the island, often shown with his best friend Rockslide. Or maybe they're together, I actually don't know. I'd ship it. They often appear typically just in cameos, often a part of mutant gatherings, which is really just it for Match. What a great conclusion, he just cameos in the Krakoa era. As time has gone on, the character is used less and less. His best quality by far is his design. Something that I said about another mutant we talked about, Tommy Morrison. Shameless plug. Match feels like he could be more, but he isn't because the character's biggest promise is for the artist of X-Men comics, getting to display this cool fire design that shows off different ways to use fire in combat. Personality-wise, he's mainly just a hot-headed dick, just a complete asshole, which we don't really see. Other characters just describe him as that. We don't really see him actually actively be mean or be rude to anybody or even be short-tempered. He just seems kinda there. However, at the same time, I feel like it's a bit of a waste to have this character design with a character who does almost nothing at all. I think there is something you really could do with this character if you do more with him, or try to. Maybe bring him back. Because after the whole Fall of X, we don't really know what happened to him. Now, despite my harsh words, he would actually make it to live action in the 2019 Dark Phoenix movie. That has a cameo at the X-Mansion party, where he's just a kid with fire powers and isn't in flames. Now you might ask, how do we know it's Match then? Because this could be any kid with fire powers. We know because his creators, Nizio DePhillips and Christina Wurr, got royalty checks for the character's usage, which DePhillips didn't even know was going to happen, and would even express confusion as to why all the characters he created, why Match would be the one that got to appear in live action. That's honestly hilarious, and I kind of agree. I think Pixie would have likely made a lot more sense, since people actually know who she is. I say that as if I'm not making a video on Match before I do my video on Pixie. It's happening eventually. I already started my notes for that video. This video just got done a lot earlier because for the fact that Match is used very little, while Pixie actually does quite a bit and therefore has to be a longer video and a lot more research. However, that isn't to say Match doesn't have potential, because I think he does. And as said, I think he could make a good protege or student to Rogue, as both seem to be going through something very similar. Also, it appears as if maybe Rockslide and Match are friends, or maybe more than friends, because Rockslide's skin being stone allows him to touch him without being hurt. Therefore, they can fist bump or bro hug and not actually get burned. Which could be interesting to talk about. Like, they're made to be friends or boyfriends or best friends by nature. The label also doesn't really matter regardless of what they actually are. If they're just friends, that's fine. You can still do that storyline. That, like, they're just made to be best friends. Although you could also go the romantic route, too. Either way, I think it could be interesting. Actually, maybe it'd be more interesting if it was platonic, because Rogue already has that with Magneto, which is romantic. Or you could even make him a villain. He already has some of the personality down for it. And that's it for Match. This was a pretty quick video, but I really enjoyed making it. Like always, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!